After years of hoping, Rick Hanks has bought the land adjacent to his farm. Valley Land Fund recently sold him the 43 acres of farmland it owned on Northeast Street in Amherst. On a beautiful early spring afternoon, board members John Bodie and Ann Kearns walked the land with Rick and his son Theodore and heard about their plans for blueberries, raspberries, corn, and clover.
Why I wanted to buy this piece of property. Well, I grew up right next door. I've lived here all my life, and I remember the property when it was wide open. The fields were green. There was no brush, there was no trees the way it is now, and it was just beautiful. From the street, you could look out and just see a beautiful green pasture. The wildlife would be out there, and through the years it's just filled in and it looks absolutely terrible.
When you were growing up,
was
there a crop on the land?
Oh yes, there was always a crop on the land. Mostly there was a lot of alfalfa because they use the alfalfa to feed the cows. Hay. As the years went by, corn was very dominant as a crop. Every other year or so, the field would be filled with grain corn, silage corn. But I remember how well it was kept up and how nice it looked. And it took about 25 years of neglect, of not doing anything.
Well, when you were thinking about buying this piece of land, how important was it to you that it was already protected with an agricultural preservation restriction?
When I was thinking about buying it, it was before it even had an APA restriction. At the time, when I approached them, they wanted $500,000.
Who was they at that point?
Oh, the Hart family.
The Hart family.
Which at that time it was, that's a lot of money.
Yeah.
So, but it sure beats having filled with houses.
Yeah, and that was back in what, the early 80s when you were talking to them?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, the other portion of the property is it's actually going back to the original owners since it was originally connected to the house up on the hill, 421?
Yeah,
Northeast Street.
Alan Sadowski.
You know, it was originally part of the property, and it's really, really nice to have it back because actually our house, the house next door, my grandparents' house, that was all part of the property originally.
Yeah.
And there was also more property that was associated with it, but we haven't got done tracing it yet. But it's just kind of nice to have the land back with the original farm, which is something you really don't see very often unless it's stuck with the farm through the years, because there's a lot of parcels that have been broken up into smaller sections, and now it's just broken up between 3 or 4 different farmers. So it's a great, opportunity to have the property associated back with the original deed for the house and everything else.
Would you encourage other people to put their land into preservation?
Yes, I would. Especially in this area here. If you, in Amherst, there's very, very little land. Actually, the valley, there's more houses just popping up in the middle of the fields, where they used to have corn or crops, and now you see just houses right along straight and then going right far back. Once it's gone, it's gone. And the valley is known for the soil. So the soil is gone, the area for growing. Where are we going to get all the food from? Where are we going to have the local crops? Hadley's growing at a tremendous rate. Amherst has already, it's passed. There's not too many farms left in Amherst. Not since I was a kid. I I could tell you all the milkers. You know, there's only like 1 or 2 farms that are milking cows anymore.
There's only one left in Amherst.
Yeah, yeah. In this street, there was a dozen that had that milk cows on a ongoing basis.
As you can tell, we've been doing some extensive work out here. Our plans thus far are the land needs quite a bit of lime and stuff of that nature, so I'm going to start off with I'm looking into blueberries and raspberries and blackberries, since the acid content's fairly high already, and I'm getting prices right now on those. We're also looking into putting clover in to raise the nitrogen in the soil. We're thinking about doing some corn and stuff of that nature, but it may get put off a little while because the soil pH is so low. It would require quite a bit of fertilizer and stuff of that nature to get it going again. So I think cost effectiveness, we may wait a couple years and see what we can do, or start with a small crop and see what we have for luck. As for the berries, they will take a little while to get going, so you know, I'm figuring 3 to 5 years before I have a marketable crop. That's why I'm trying to get stuff in now, and you know, we're just working on trimming the edges back and trying to get rid of the invasive species, because we had quite a bit of growth from bittersweet and multifloral rose, and it really encroached on the fields quite a bit. And in the process, you know, it seeded in an awful lot, so we've been working extensively to try to get rid of the invasives. And you know, as you can see, we tried putting a cover crop in last year, but it didn't really do much because of the acid content. So our goal this year is to do something to get the pH of the soil up, and work on getting prices and setting up, you know, lanes for blueberries and raspberries. And we're talking about putting in some better trees on the outside edges, you know, for shade trees and for windbreaks and stuff of that nature. As you can see around here, we got a lot of swamp maple, which really isn't useful for much of anything. So we were thinking about putting in some oak trees and, you know, some maples, sugar maples and stuff of that nature as well. It'll take them a long time to grow, but I figure it'll help long term. And you know, that's basically where we're at thus far for this parcel. That, and you know, looking at cover crops and stuff to add to the soil. So you know, basically the clover is our first best bet, and that's pretty much it.
The soil that we're looking at now, it's sand and gravel. It's got a acid count of about 4.8, and it's going to take a few years to build it back up to have a crop on it. We're looking into different techniques to mix with the sand and gravel to get some humus to break down to be able to grow something. But our other soil is more of a loam soil. It has very few rocks, and that will grow. Will grow quite well. Whether it's going to be corn or hay or whatever crop that we put in.
Okay, well, when we started this wonderful project, I'm standing on the very edge of the trail that was around the outside of the field. This, you know, 40-foot swath was all full of multifloral rose and bittersweet. And as you can see in the top of the trees, the bittersweet was all the way up into the tops, and there was fairly significant tree death because of the bittersweet. But you know, it was a good 40-foot swath of, you know, open land that was missing. So as you can see on the way up, you can see where we stopped clearing, where that big nest of bittersweet is. So we still got a long project ahead of us, but you know, we gained 40 feet and we made it to the drainage ditch. So you know, it's, you know, a vast improvement compared to what it used to be.